Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Isn't That Guy Gone Yet show. Uh, and I just, on the show, I recently had one of my subscribers request that I do a top 10 list of my favorite places to eat. And I figured doing a top 10 list of my favorite places to eat that are currently open in my hometown would be kind of boring because there's nothing really interesting about the places I eat around my town. So what I'm going to do is make a list of the top 10 places I'd like to eat throughout my entire life that I've been to, whether they're not in business or they're still in business. Some of them still are, but some of them are long gone, but I really wish they were still here and the food was really good. So okay, so let's go here. And also, it makes for better storytelling if if I tell the stories of all the restaurants I've liked to eat of throughout my entire life. Because just saying, "Oh, I like to go to Carl's Jr." It's kind of boring. So I'm gonna do the more interesting restaurants that I've been throughout my entire life. Those kind of tell you about. Okay, so number 10 on my list here. It was in Portland, Oregon, and it was a place called the Oregon Grinder, and they had pizza there. It was kind of like what Chuck E. Cheese was. It's kind of like a precursor to Chuck E. Cheese because they had a huge little building for entertainment for children that could play the games and do skee ball and do whatnot and stuff. But what made this place unique in Oregon is it had the world's most biggest Wurlitzer organ, and the whole 2-story room full of horns that this organ would make, with its when they play the organ, that these big huge horns that are 30 feet tall and would blow when he played this little organ, and it's some people don't know what a Wurlitzer is, but you can Google it and you'll see. It's a big giant organ that plays many different keys on the whole thing. It's really kind of an old-fashioned, fantastic sort of thing. It was a fun place to go as a kid. I went there and probably when I was like 12 to 14 years old. It was a great place to eat pizza, and like I said, it was a really fun family place. Okay, number 9 on my list is also a place in Portland, Oregon, and it's not in business anymore. It was called Billy Heartbeats. They had pretty good burgers. They actually had really good burgers. I enjoyed them. The fries were good. I pretty much had the same thing every time I went there. It was a burger and fries. But what I liked about it was it had a black and white checkerboard floor, and it had metal flake red vinyl for the booth and the chairs, and lots of chrome on the tables, and the chairs were made out of chrome. And it also had jukeboxes at every table. I know other restaurants have that too, but it was a 50s style restaurant, and I really thought it was just kind of fun to go there. And it had back in the day in my early 20s when I went there, there's a cute little red-haired girl that used to work there, and I used to go there and just eat the food and kind of talk to her a little bit, just kind of a fun thing I did back then in my 20s, fun days. Okay, go to number 8. It is a place in Lincoln City, Oregon. I do believe it's still in business. It's called Gallucci's Pizza. What was I going to say about it? It was just a fun place to go. I went there as a kid. Actually, the pizza is not quite as good as it was back in the day, but it's still pretty good. If you ever go to Lincoln City, Oregon, to one of those casinos or something, it's nearby. It's a good, fun place to go. I wish I could get up there more, but I don't get out there too much. It's quite a long drive, but that's it for that one. And number 7 on my list is a place called the Roadrunner Burger. And that was a place that was open in my hometown. It's closed now. It's been gone for a long time. But they had really great burgers and fries, and everything else they had there was really great. But the thing that makes this place unique is that the owner was kind of a crazy old man. He liked to cuss at customers a lot. And if you said something you want, he said, well, "I'll make it the way I want it, and you'll eat it. You'll like it. Get the fuck out." He was just kind of crazy, but they did have good food, and it was kind of a fun place to go. Right up near I-5 there, and that's about this whole story. It's kind of fun to go because the guy was crazy, and it was kind of funny. Okay, moving on to number 6 is a place in McMinnville, Oregon, and it is still in business. It's called Alf's Ice Cream and Burgers. The burgers are good. The fries are good. They're still open, and it's still good. And they have an array of homemade ice cream that they make there every day. They don't buy it. They make it. It's a really good restaurant, not only to eat. It's kind of a small dining room, but it's a great place to go. And the fun thing about what it used to be is they used to have this cage where they had like 6 or 7 chimpanzees, and the kids would watch the chimpanzees swing from the tree. It wasn't a small cage; it was a big cage. It even had a tree in there, and the monkeys would live in there and swing from the trees and do whatnot, and just kind of come up and the kids would look through the glass and watch them. And I think there was even a place where you could reach in and throw food to the monkeys. You couldn't go. The children wouldn't want to go in because they might get attacked by the monkeys, but you could go have this little thing where you could throw food at them. And the monkeys would come up to you and kind of look at you, and they'd eat their food. The kids would get a good kick out of that. It was pretty fun, but nowadays they don't have the chimpanzees anymore. There's only one monkey, and it's not there all the time, and it only comes there when the owner's there. I think the animal rights activists told them that they couldn't leave that monkey there all the time. It had to be attended by people, Number one, it could get, what if the store got broken into and they murdered the monkey or something, or kidnapped the monkey? Who knows? The monkey can only be there when the owner's there, and so the monkey's not there all the time, and it's only one monkey, and his name is Elvis, and it's kind of, it's still a fun place to go. It's kind of a disappointment when the kids get there and the monkey ain't there, but if you ever traveling through McMinnville, Oregon, come to Alf's Ice Cream and Burgers. And I do believe they even have the, I don't know, some sort of other emu burgers or something. They have some other weird kind of meat they put in. They do have regular beef cheeseburgers. It's made from beef, but they have other types of meat that you can get made into a burger. It's a really fun place to go. All right, number 5 on my list is a place I went to as a kid in Lincoln City, and it was called Sambos. And it's closed down now. It's kind of a sad thing because it was fun to go play. It was kind of like it was kind of like an IHOP where they had a lot. The main thing on there was pancakes, and pancakes and waffles. They did have good burgers and good club sandwiches too. I mean, I remember that back when I was a kid, but it's closed down basically because people felt it was kind of racist. In fact, I understand where they're coming from, because it was actually originally called Little Black Sambos, and then they dropped the Little Black name and just called it Sambos. But yet people were still offended by the whole thing, the restaurant, the way it was rooted in the past. So they finally ended up losing it all and having it closed down and not ever call a restaurant Sambos ever again. It was, I understand where they're coming from. It's kind of offensive, but still, it was a fun place to go as a kid and eat, and they had good food. And it was just, I wish maybe it was still open, but it kind of sucks about the name, Okay, well, that's about it for that one. Number 4 on my list here is a place, and it's another kid-oriented restaurant from back in the 60s and 70s in Lincoln City, and it's not open anymore. And there is a whole group on Facebook that you can join that's a remembrance of this restaurant. It was called the Pixie Kitchen, and fun place to eat, good food. They had a sort of like a little walk-through playground in the back where they had all kinds of animatronic things. all these waterfalls and whatnot. You could it's if you go to the Facebook page and look at all the pictures, you'll understand. And they had this really cool arcade in the basement. Had a lot of old pinball games from the late 60s, early 70s, and they had, I don't know, it was just a really cool old arcade. They had, if you ever Google up, cool arcade games from the late 60s, early 70s, you'll see some of these games that they had down there, and it was really fun. And they had a gift shop, and the kids would always get a little treat bag after you finished your dinner. It was a little pink bag for a girl and a little blue bag for a boy, and they always have these little taffy candies in there, taffy that you eat, and then they always had, like, I don't know, little surprises, like a little ring you'd put on your finger or something, or some sort of yo-yo, or some sort of fun toy. It was a great fun when I was a kid. It'd be kind of cool. And there's a lot of people on the group on Facebook that really wish they could find some rich investors that would invest in recreating that whole restaurant, and don't make it all modern, make it like it was back in the day, because that's the way I wouldn't want it to be all modern. That would just be crappy. I mean, maybe they could use a modernized cash register, yeah, but as far as the other stuff, I really wish they wouldn't try to make it all different. I want it recreated the way it was in the 70s when I was a kid. Okay, well, that's that one. That was a really cool place to talk about. Number 3 is a place that was here in town in the 80s when I was a teenager. And they also had one in Eugene, Oregon that closed down maybe about 4 years ago. The one that was here in my town in the 80s, closed down in the 80s. And the place was called Nachos. It wasn't the fact that what they specialized in was nachos. But they had other Mexican food, the tacos and burritos. You can get an array of Mexican food. But they specialized in nachos, and their restaurant name was Nachos. And they had, in my opinion, the best nachos I've ever had. And they had a nacho tower plate that was probably, I like a foot high of chips. It was the grande nachos. It was a big giant plate. It was probably about foot high of chips, meat, and cheese, and whatever else you wanted to put on your nachos. You could customize it, and they were really super great nachos. And I really, really wish I could hit the lottery and convince some people to reopen that restaurant. All right, number 2 on my list was also a place that was in my hometown. Was in my hometown in the 80s. And they've been closed down for a long time. They no longer have them here in Oregon, but they do have them in Washington State and other places. It was a place called Taco John's. And I drove to the one that is still in business in Washington State, but it's kind of pretty much similar to what Taco Bell is now. It doesn't really have the same flavor as it did in the 80s when they had one here in my hometown back when I was a teenager. And that's what I want. I want that restaurant to come back to my hometown and have the exact same recipes they used in the 80s. Because they were the greatest tacos I've ever had, out of any other taco joint. Well, with the exception of the number 1 on my list, because their food was so great. I mean, I can't really describe it to you because you have to eat it for yourself to see it. But number 1 on my list was a restaurant that was here in my hometown, and it's gone now. They were only open for about 2 years, and it was open just recently, and probably around 2012, 2013. It was a place called San Diego Taco, and I just really can't describe the food because it was just the greatest food I've ever had, and I really wish they would bring that stuff back. It was a family-run thing; it wasn't a national chain or anything. But they had the greatest food in there. I would get their $8 burrito. When you say $8 burrito, huh? Well, the burrito was so big, it was probably from like my elbow to my fist. That's how long it was. That's how big the burrito was. And literally, the burrito was about that big around. It was an $8 burrito, and it was, they called it the grande something. It was and they made their own hot sauce there too. Their sauces were great. I always used the green sauce on my burrito, and it would take me about 45 minutes to eat that burrito. And they ended up having a burrito challenge. You can see how fast you could eat the burrito, and they also had a challenge so you could eat the burrito with they got habanero ghost peppers on it too. And very few people. There was only 3 people who could finish that burrito in 30 minutes with the hot ghost peppers on it. And yeah, it was in it. Their steak soft tacos, their quesadillas. What I want to say, all the other food they had there was just the greatest stuff ever, in my opinion. I really wish they would come back, but I kind of don't think they're ever coming back. But that's it for my top 10 list of restaurants that I've ever been to in my entire life. Okay, now I'm going to share a few things with you. That's what I kind of do in my videos. I kind of do a little video of subject, and I share some stuff that I have stashed in my house. The first thing I'm going to share with you is this here Pepsi hat. You can see these Pepsi cans here were authentically from the 70s, and it was made by my grandma for my dad. But when my dad died, I commandeered this thing, and I wear it around, and people talk about it all the time, and I tell them the story and the history that is actually from the 70s, and it was my dad's, and I keep it as a family heirloom. Something I really think is cool, and lots of people talk to me about it and take my picture and stuff. It's really cool. Okay, number 2 is, if you watch one of my last videos, I think it was called King of the Hill theme and cosplay, where I dressed up like that cartoon character, Hank Hill, from the cartoon called King of the Hill. If you've never seen that, maybe you don't understand it, but that's one of my cosplays, and I played the theme song to that cartoon. But in the video, I pick up a can and I pretend to take a drink, and it was something I customized here, because on the show, Hank Hill and his buddies drink Alamo beer, and I customized this little label for my little can so I could, pretend like I was Hank Hill, and you can see it looks kind of like the Alamo here, where you can see it's kind of stained here because the pop can actually over the time got hot and popped, and the pop leaked out all over my little label here and ruined it. But I still have this, and it's just kind of a cool item to have in case I ever cosplay as Hank Hill again. I did go to Comic-Con a couple years ago, and I cosplayed as Hank Hill, and probably about 17 different people walked up and took my picture. It was a fun time, and they kept asking me to do the voice, and I would try to do the voice, and we would all laugh and stuff. So, okay, there's that. And the next one is, a couple of them are these here. Oh boy, come on. Get luck here. These are from 1975 collector's glasses. And I do believe we got these at Taco Time in 1975 when I was a kid. See, this here's Jerry the Mouse from Tom and Jerry, and this is Casper the Friendly Ghost. Just sort of really cool things that we had the other one, Tuffy Mouse, because Tuffy was Jerry's cousin. But it got broken a long time ago because my sister's name was Stephanie, and it was her glass because Tuffy was kind of like Steffi. And, it's too bad that we dropped that and we broke it, because it would have been a super cool collector's item. Okay, so that's about it for now. And next, if you want to, you can hit like and subscribe, or you can put a comment and see if I'm a dork or something, or this has been Isn't That Guy Gone Yet? And thank you for enjoying the show. We'll try to see you next time if I come up with I still have more ideas, but I'm kind of running out of ideas. But I watch a lot of Ricky Berwick, so I'm probably going to get inspired by Ricky Berwick too. So thank you much, and see you later. Bye-bye.